Yo, wait, let me get the music going. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the stream. Put a little background music on. Too loud. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Why is this even making any noise? Okay. All right, let me know if the background music is too loud or if you can even hear it at all. What's up? What's your favorite movie and why is it A Bug's Life? I saw some posts recently about the Bug's Life and how it's like actually kind of like super based, and it's basically like an anti-fascist movie. The mic's low. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Am I still low? I'm not sure if I'm turning the right knob, but it looks like I am getting louder. I have to like I have to change the settings every time because I use this setup for a bunch of different stuff that requires different settings. So every time I stream, I have to set different stuff. I should like record the correct settings. But let me know what it sounds like. Has serious geopolitical ramifications. Yeah, that's what it seems like. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but you know, got a ton of free time, so we should play some D&D. I'm down. Just let me know when you want to play. I have my game on Sundays, but if it's not on Sunday, then I can probably play it. I've been following since you were the one janitor, but I'm new to your streams. How do you feel about Fabula Ultima as a TTRPG system? I've never played Fabula Ultima. I don't really know anything about it. FD signifier looks different. You're the first person ever to say that. You need to do a robot voice or a baby voice. I do? Anyway, welcome everybody to the stream. How everyone's doing? How's everyone's weekend? This week really flew by for me. It's kind of crazy to me that it's Friday again. See, now you got everyone talking about A Bug's Life. I guess that was the goal. I'm surprised Bug's Life never got a sequel or a second movie that I'm aware of. That is kind of surprising. Although I've heard that I've been reading a book written by one of the co-founders of Pixar, and apparently they were initially really hesitant to do sequels. And apparently, just in general, they don't do sequels unless like they really are inspired to, or unless like Disney's like, we need to sell a bunch of Toy Story merch, so please make more Toy Story movies. So maybe that's why. Um, old Mr. Hawkwind might be in town next week. Is he coming back? I know he was in town. I saw him. What was it? A couple weeks ago. The Bugs Life PS1 game was weirdly good. I think I remember that game actually. Some of the Toy Story game was good too on PS1. Bugs Life feel like it slipped through the higher ups notice. It didn't get a sequel because it hit too close to home for the powers that be. Hit too close to home, maybe. All unks look the same. Is that what I'm hearing? I guess that's a matter of opinion. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they made four Toy Story movies if you think about it. But that I mean it was I mean they're all decent to good though. And they made a they made a Monsters Inc. sequel, but that was like I think they made that because they were inspired to because that sequel came like way later, and then like they made an incredible sequel, but that came out like many years later. But Toy Story, they just kind of pumped those out. Someone should make a Bugs Life TTRPG system. That'd be crazy. What was your first fandom? My first fandom. The earliest. I mean, what makes something a fandom? The earliest thing that I remember being like super geeky about was like Marvel comics. But I didn't really interact with like the community or anything. I just read it. I had like friends that were into it as well. I'm sure that there was something that I was really into when I was even younger, but I can't really think. Like Ninja Turtles. Actually, Ninja Turtles is probably my first fandom. Garfield versus Flick in Tokyo Drift style competition. Hi from Phoenix, Arizona. Hello. 70 is old. I mean, fair enough. That's the thing about calling yourself old is there's always someone older usually. I guess you get to a point where there's not that many people that are much older, but I mean, I've been saying that I feel old since I was like 24. Of course, it feels silly now to be 24 and think that you're getting old, but when you first turn 24, it feels a little weird. It's like, oh shit, that's a lot of years. But I feel like once you hit 40, you should be allowed to say that you're getting old. You've probably earned it at that point. But you do have to submit to the people that are actually old. What do you usually play as in D&D? Well, Usually I play as the DM. When I do play, which is rare, I like to play like support roles like druid and cleric and bard usually. What's your perfect Sunday? Perfect Sunday? I think a perfect Sunday would just be like chilling on the beach and drinking a mimosa with your closest friends. That'd probably be a perfect Sunday. You basically got a whole second lifetime before you can call yourself old. I mean, maybe so. I mean, when I'm 70, I will probably feel silly for feeling old at 40. Battle clerics fuck though. Yeah, I like clerics. I don't know. I like utility spells and healing and stuff. It's like I like trying to find unique things to do in the game other than damage. Are you a fan of classic Star Trek? Definitely of its time in a lot of ways, but still plenty of interesting social commentary. Um, yeah. Well, I've seen Star Trek the original series and Star Trek the Next Generation. I've seen I think every episode of both of those shows, and I've seen various episodes of all the other ones. But I love Star Trek from what I've seen, especially TNG. I think it's genius. The original series is also surprisingly good too. Which, at least for me, I wouldn't expect a like 60s 70s sci-fi show to be good. I would imagine it to be like stupid and cheesy, which it is sometimes, but it's actually pretty good. Druid cleric is busted. Yeah, they definitely can be. Cyberpunk or D&D? I've actually never played Cyberpunk. There's a lot of systems that I haven't played. I'm in the grand scheme of things, I'm pretty new to tabletop. I maybe started playing like 7 years ago or so. And so I've only tried a few systems here or there. To be fair, the actual aging process starts at about 25. That's when the cells stop repairing, replicating as well as they should. I guess. I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. I think about the Kanye line wasn't supposed to make it past 25. Joke's on you. I'm still alive. Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I've heard the statistic that line is based on. I don't know. I think there's like certain neighborhoods where black men are either dead or in jail by 25 or something, like a large percentage. I don't know if that's still true, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. I did the divination wizard halfling with luck, so all the reroll. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't think I kind of like. I think there's a stigma against min maxing characters, but I'm totally for it. As a DM, I want you to try to make the most bullshit character possible because that encourages me to make the most bullshit monsters possible. But yeah, I like coming up with like neat little combinations and stuff that I could do. I actually like wizards too, though. They're not necessarily a support class, although I guess they could be. But wizards can do, they get all the spells, so they can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Ever visit Philadelphia? Drove to Atlanta straight through. I'm also level 22 nerd. Nice. I've never been to Philadelphia. I don't think. I've probably driven through, maybe. Because I've driven. I don't think I've. I'm not sure if I've ever even been inside of Pennsylvania before. How did it feel when YouTube didn't ask to see your ID? I don't understand. Is this a joke? I haven't been carded in a long time, though. I can tell you that. What's the best part of being 40? Um, I guess the best part of being 40 is that I am the wisest version of myself that I have ever been. I'm 40, black and nerdy. Just played Cyberpunk for the first time a few months back. Great game, made by a black man. I didn't know that. That's cool. Um, I would like to play Cyberpunk. How would you go about making a cheesy D&D character? I feel like that's pretty easy. I mean, there's a lot of like fantasy cliches that you could do that I think are kind of all pretty cheesy. Like at this point, I think the sort of loner, like loner orphan rogue is like a pretty cheesy archetype because it's been done so many times. I made a character, I think that was a warlock, but he was basically like a parody of a superhero. And that was pretty cheesy. I once saved Christmas as a halfling divination wizard. That was a wild one shot. That sounds awesome. I think consequences are very important in games. I agree. But I also want the players to feel powerful. I don't um yeah, I think it should be challenging, but there's I think when I first started DMing, I tried to hinder the players too much, I think. Like I kind of felt thought of it as like me versus the players, which I don't think is what you should do. It's just like you kind of want to root for the players. Like you put challenges in front of them, but the goal is to make them, they're the heroes of the story. So that's something I had to learn. A Bugs Life stream finally. What version of D&D do you dig the most? I've only played D&D 5e. I haven't played any other version. I have a feeling that 5e would probably still be my favorite though because it's the most accessible. A lot of the other ones seem a little too crunchy. I've like studied a little bit from other editions just to like get ideas and like learn more about the lore and stuff. Now we're talking about cheesesteak. I'm not sure where this has come from. Did we extrapolate cheesesteak from cheesy characters. Have I ever played Simpsons Hit and Run? I have played that. I will unapologetically say it's the best GTA style video game that is not GTA. That's fair. A pretty good game. I will put my vote in for Saints Row the Third though. That game's awesome. Plasmoid made out of cottage cheese. Mike Pondsmith ran Cyberpunk Red with Matthew Lillard. You should look that up. It was fun. I probably will look that up. I actually have never watched an actual play of Cyberpunk. I'm not sure why. I've watched a lot of other games. I've never played a loner orphan rogue. we'll uh we'll just assume that's the truth. But it's okay to play an archetype that's been done or that's cheesy. I think that's the fun of the game. I think Matt Mercer is going to be at Auburn. What about D&D grabbed you the most? Um well, D&D was the first RPG I played, which is probably true of most people. So it just being the first helped. But I don't know. I like it has a good combination of of like make believe and also like game. So I think at least most other TTRPGs that I have played, they usually lean in one way or the other. Where some of them are like really heavy into role play and like lore and like investigation and stuff, and others are the real heavy into like rules and mechanics and stuff. And D&D has a really good mix of both, I think. Also, D&D has dragons in it, which is awesome. I feel like there's a lack of dragons in a lot of TTRPGs. Some of them have dragons, but a lot of them don't have dragons, and it's like you should have more dragons because dragons are sick. Saints Row 4 is fun. Actually, I think I meant Saints Row 4 when I said Saints Row the Third. But most of the Saints Row games, well, I 3 and 4 are really good. I'm trying to remember which one that I like more. I get them confused. I might be thinking of Saints Row 4 though. No, I'm thinking it's 3. Yeah, where you jump off the chopper. That's from 3 because that's what I'm thinking of. It's that game. 3.5 is my favorite so far, but I started with that, so I'm biased. Yeah, I know a lot of people like 3.5. I've never played it though. I've never played Pathfinder either. I need to like I have like a group that I play with all the time, and they are pretty. I won't say that they're averse to playing other games, but I think they're a little less comfortable when I try to introduce other games. They just want to play D&D, which is fine because I love D&D. One of them straight up refuses to play Vampire because they think that vampires are cringe. And Vampire is I probably like Vampire the Masquerade Probably just as much as D&D at this point. Actual plays are one of the ways I actually learn the rules of a system when the ADHD prevents me from concentrating on actually thoroughly reading them. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, that's basically how I learned D&D and vampires, just from watching people play it. Is today your birthday? Because it's mine. Today is not my birthday. My birthday was a couple months ago, but happy birthday to you, 64. I'm always surprised by the older people in my audience. I wouldn't think that my videos or content is appealing to older people, but there's a surprising amount of older people. Like I always assume that I'm older than most people in my audience, which historically has been the case, but seems to be changing. What makes dragons sick? I don't know. They're just like big, powerful, magical, majestic creatures. They're just cool as hell. They're iconic. And within the D&D lore, they're especially really cool, I think, cuz they're like really old and powerful, and like the different like clans have like different personalities and stuff. They're really fun to role play as. They're fun to fight. They're fun to like run combat with. I don't know. It's a great creature. 3 was goofy over the top GTA, and 4 is the one where you have superpowers. Yeah, okay, yeah. So 3 was the one that I'm thinking of. I really like 3 a lot. Saints Row the Third. But yeah, I remember 4, and that was fun too. I play both 3.5 and Pathfinder. I prefer the versatility of 3.5. But overall, Fabula Ultil is my favorite. Second is BESM. Third is D&D. I mean, like I said, there's a lot that I haven't played. Maybe someday I'll get a chance to try out more of them. Dark Age Vampire, is that another system? I'm not familiar with that. Any faith in the quality of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2? I don't know. I try not to judge things before playing them. I know that they released some footage that people didn't like, but then later they released some gameplay that looked a little bit better. So it'll probably be fine. Will it live up to Bloodlines 1, which is an amazing game? I don't know. But as long as it's like vampire and it like feels like the world of darkness, it'll probably be fine. For the audience that it's intended for. Will it be like Baldur's Gate 3 where it like is this massive hit and like introduces a whole bunch of people to the system? I don't know, probably not. But will vampire fans like it? Probably. World of Darkness fans? Probably. Hi T1J, just wanted to ask from a black nerd to another, have you ever been bothered by the fact that as black nerds, some of us will ask for a representation in a medium like anime, but realistically, a Japanese person can never express the black experience to its fullest. However, the likelihood of a black person spearheading their own independent anime project at a good budget is unlikely. So, should the idea be scrapped, then we look to other visual mediums to represent us. Um, I don't know. I think that you just have to find what you're looking for. Like you probably shouldn't expect Japanese creators to make stories about black people, but there's like a lot of black animators and black artists, and you just have to find their work. I can't help you find like anime about black people. I would bet that it exists. I mean, the Boondocks is an anime about black people, or at least it's an anime style. But I don't know if that's specifically what you're looking for. But things like that exist. They may not be popular, but I think you just have to seek it out. There's probably manga written by black people, or like graphic novels written and animated by black artists. I think you just have to seek them out, find them. Unfortunately, a lot of times that stuff doesn't get popular, but you never know. Um, Also, and when you find people, um, uh, when you find these artists that make this stuff, you have to support them and spread the word so they can get a signal boost and get a little more exposure. Afro Samurai. It's just the masquerade before modern nights is like dark ages. Do you know the band Wolfpack? I don't. I like mixing and matching my White Wolf. I like putting Exalted in World of Darkness. Oh yeah, I mean you should definitely just put whatever you want. I'm kind of I don't know that much about uh World of Darkness or White Wolf outside of Vampire the Masquerade. I should probably learn more about it. If King of the Hill is Texas anime, I think Boondocks count as black anime. Yeah, I've heard the idea that King of the Hill is an anime. I don't know what people think makes an anime, but if it's an anime in your heart, then it's an anime. Have you ever served on a jury? I just got done serving on a jury, and it was horrific. It opened my eyes to how little we do to support jurors after traumatic trials. I have never served on a jury. I have been called in for jury duty one time, but I wasn't selected to be on the jury. Um, but yeah, I mean that makes sense. I wouldn't expect. Do they do anything to support jurors after traumatic trials? I wouldn't expect them to do anything. I mean, they probably should, but it just doesn't seem like they would. Hello from Ireland. Hello, hello to Ireland. Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to like representation, I don't necessarily expect people who are not in the group to tell the stories of the people who are in the group. We just have to find a way to lift the voices and boost the voices of the people that are actually creating those stories. Unfortunately, sometimes those voices are sort of limited and marginalized and not given as much of a chance. But that's why we got to support them as part of the audience. I think Japan considers King of the Hill an anime, so the definition is vast, at least wider ranging than American anime fans consider it. Yeah, I mean, I don't like. It seems to be like a very nebulous thing. Especially if King of the Hill is an anime, then anything can be an anime at that point. Like you could define it as any Japanese animation, or you could define it as something broader than that. But I don't even know how you would even decide what is and isn't anime. Does all Japanese animation count as anime? Is there any Japanese animation that is not anime? Like obviously there are certain trends and themes that are common in anime, but it doesn't apply to all anime. And some of those trends and themes you can find in other types of animation. So I don't know. Like that show Totally Spies. I think it's a French show, but it's very anime to me. Very anime coded. I consider animation based on manga. There are some like popular anime that aren't based on manga. Like aren't there some manga that are based on anime like the other way around? I'm sure you'd heard about the Roger Jackson situation. At this point, whenever pro wrestling's in the spotlight, it's always some batish scenario. It seems like. Yeah, that's wild. I don't, that's crazy. I haven't like really dug into that, but yeah, it's crazy that happened. Unpopular opinion: animated stuff is animated. I don't care what you call it. Cartoons, anime, whatever. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. I think that to some extent, sometimes it's useful to categorize things. Like there are obviously some trends and motifs and cliches and things that are more commonly found in Japanese animation than in other types of animation. And in that way, sometimes you can say this is anime, or this is anime like, this is anime style. Like I use the Boondocks as an example because that's a show that is clearly anime influence. It looks like an anime. It looks like Japanese animation. But I think it's an American produced show. I'm pretty sure that they got, a lot of Western shows get a lot of their animation or like their preliminary animation done overseas. I don't know if it's necessarily Japan, um but I think it's considered a Western show. But yeah, I mean it's all it's like, I think it's worth thinking about, but I hope no one is like really losing sleep over what is and isn't an anime. It's a fun conversation, but don't think about it too hard. Just enjoy the stuff that you like. Evangelion was an anime first and manga second. Because even me, well, I don't really watch a lot of cartoons anymore. Not because I don't like them, but just I don't watch a lot of anything anymore. But I have historically had the hot take that I generally like Western animation more than Japanese animation. And so in that case, for me, it's useful to categorize them and explain differences. But obviously, there's anime that I do like, and there's Western animations that I don't like. So why do you think that we categorize the Asian art into their own subcategories? Example: K-pop, J-pop, anime, JRPGs. Well, for one, I think that, like I said, there are similarities. They're similar enough that they have common trends. So in that way, you can categorize them. Like JRPGs have a style that I think is unique from other types of RPGs. In general, obviously, it's not 100%, but in general, K-pop and J-pop don't they sound different, you know. So in that sense, sometimes it's useful to categorize things. But also I just think human beings just like categorizing things. It just makes it easier to think about stuff. And you can break things like I'm sure even I don't know that much about Japan, but I'm willing to bet that certain regions in Japan and certain eras of Japan, like certain periods of Japanese art have their own subcategories and sub different styles and stuff like that. And same thing with anything else. Music, visual art. How can you even be into that and not talk about Ideon? I don't know what Ideon is. Also, categorizing things just makes them easier to sell, too. I mean, that's part of it, too. You can put everything in a neat little section and say, here's the K-pop and here's the J-pop. So if you like J-pop, here's some other J-pop you might like. If you just put it all just like music, then people wouldn't really know where to go or what to look for. What is Ideon? Is that an anime? Space Runaway Ideon? Is that what we're talking about? But I'm honestly not the guy to be really talking about anime because I don't watch a lot of anime. I growing up, I wasn't really into it, but I watched it with friends and stuff. And there were a couple shows that I liked, but these days I couldn't tell you a single thing about any anime. I can't categorize K-pop as a thing because at some point we have to admit it's just Koreans cosplaying African American music in the 90s and 2000s. I think about Delta Slim's quote from Sinner where says white folk like the blues just fine. They just didn't like the people who made it. And I feel the same about K-pop because the music was there, but it didn't have a Korean porcelain face doing it. Well, I mean, rock and roll blues. I think everyone knows that sort of rock and roll and blues and all that stuff was created by black people. But I mean, at this point in human society, it's a bit unreasonable to not expect the sharing of culture. Like the world is too connected these days, and I it just feels weird to like gatekeep certain aspects of culture. Like if you make something, you should expect people to be inspired by it to and to make derivatives of it. That's just where we're at as a human culture, and I think that's fine. You can talk about the history of it and how in the past white people got credit for things that black people created. I really don't think that is still happening though. I think everyone understands that black people created a lot of this music, and B, a lot of the most successful and popular musicians in the world are black. So we categorize things for a reason, and those reasons aren't always bad. Yeah, I don't think it's bad. Don't it only gets bad when fans start gatekeeping stuff and they start like judging other people and being shitty to other people because they're like, well, that's not real anime or that's not real music or that's not real K-pop. That's when it gets weird and annoying, and that's when I like when the conversation stops becoming interesting to me. But as a fun and interesting conversation, I think it's cool. Don't watch Idion; it will wreck your soul. That's interesting because just looking at the pictures of it, it doesn't look like anything. Happy Friday, Nate. I never got into anime, but this girl I hung out with in high school put on Ninja Scroll when we were in high school, and I loved it. Conversely, I watched Akira when I was drunk, and I didn't like it. That's interesting. I've seen both of those things, and I think Ninja Scroll is pretty trash, but I love Akira. Ninja Scroll. Well, everybody, I guess everybody watched Ninja Scroll. That was like really popular, wasn't it? I don't understand why that particular movie was so popular. I mean, I guess people like it. As far as movies go, I think my favorite anime movie that I've seen. I guess you have to count fucking Studio Ghibli movies, and most of them are like amazing. But I really love Ghost in the Shell. That's to me, Ghost in the Shell is like a masterpiece. That's like one of the greatest pieces of anime media that I think has ever been made. But again, I haven't really watched anime in over a decade, so maybe there's been a lot of cooler stuff that has come out. I've heard of some things that sound pretty interesting. Fair enough. I guess my outlook is a little pessimistic. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really, I didn't intend to shut down your argument, but I just wanted to offer a perspective. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think everything is just shared these days, and at the very least, it's not worth getting upset about it because we can't do anything about it. Also, sometimes those Koreans be dropping bangers. You really can't. Sometimes sometimes those songs are good. All I remember from Akira is everyone screaming Tetsuo. Oh yeah. Maybe because it's been so hyped up. That's fair. Have you ever seen Death Note? I have seen the first live action Death Note movie. I've never seen the anime. The movie was cool though. I love Trigun. Trigun was another one that was really popular. I never got into Trigun. It was very weird to me. I like the character designs and stuff, but I hated like the one. That's one of the a weird thing about anime, or at least the anime that I grew up watching, is the sort of tonal inconsistencies. Like Trigun was like really goofy, like cartoonishly goofy at times, and then it got like really dark and serious. And it's like, what is going on? Like this is like emotional whiplash in a bad way. And a lot of anime were like that. I think cultural appropriation should only be brought up if the person making it is outwardly disrespecting the originators of it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a level, but sometimes it's hard to determine whether it's disrespect or appreciation, and that's where it gets like nebulous. Like if there was a thing a while ago where I think it was like Katy Perry. She wore like a kimono and like a Asian outfit while during a performance, and a few people got mad. And it's like, well, is she doing that just being like, is she being disrespectful, or is she just appreciating the culture and the fashion of the traditional Japanese kimono or whatever? And it's like, I don't know. Mamoru Hosada's movies are amazing modern anime movies, comparable to Miyazaki's best. Um, cool. Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of his stuff. Saw your recent Facebook update. Isn't it totally coconuts that YouTube can demonetize your material but still make money off of it themselves using ads? I assume that's how it works. Um, well, when it comes to copyrighted material, well, yeah, they do actually. But yeah, when it comes to the copyright material, if you get demonetized, the owner of the copyright takes your money, and I think they split it with YouTube. So YouTube is profiting, but ideally that only happens if you're literally stealing their work. And I will say, as a person who makes commentaries on TV shows and stuff like that, literally 99.9% of the time that doesn't happen. Like usually I get my monetization. YouTube system is fairly good at eventually giving eventually respecting fair use, I will say. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a month or two for everything to be settled, but almost always it gets settled in favor of the creator if it's genuine fair use. Every now and then there's a problem, and every now and then, the copyright holder will give you a copyright strike, or sometimes they're just straight up unethical and just want to take your money, and it gets really crazy. But luckily, I haven't really had to deal with that. And speaking of Facebook, Facebook is not like that. Facebook's system is very biased in favor, very biased against the creators and in favor of the copyright holders. So I can't, I had to stop uploading my videos to Facebook because I kept getting like copyright takedowns. Read any good books lately? Not really. I feel like whenever people ask for book recommendations, people would not be interested in the books that I read because I read a lot of uh what you might call self-help books, but I think self-help has kind of a negative connotation, and that's not the type of books that you probably think of when you say self-help is not the type of books that I read. So I usually call them like personal development books and just books that like help me get smarter and better at stuff. Like I just started this book, which you probably heard of if you know anything about um personal development. This is a pretty famous book. Like it's called The Inner Game of Tennis, but it's mostly about just like the flow state and like how to get into the flow state when you're doing your work and when you're doing things. Uh but I just started it, so I don't know if it's good, but I know it's pretty famous. 90s anime was like that a lot. Yeah, I don't know, but a lot of those anime were popular. Older anime, 60 to 90s, was basically like how 80s American cartoons were super stiff and goofy. They definitely got better. Yeah, that's what I would imagine. I'm a 41-year-old white nerd. Hello. Hello. Like Teen Titans and Totally Spies mannerisms mainly parody old anime stereotypes from the Speed Racer and Sailor Moon days. Yeah, exactly. Teen Titans is another good example. Like clearly anime coded, but is it an anime? Are there any games you were drawn to for their art? Um, Probably. Someone said Hollow Knight. That's actually a good answer. Hollow Knight is really good art. I'm trying to think of an example. I'm sure there is. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank though. If I think of something, I'll let you know. There's got to be though. If you could change one thing about YouTube, what would you do? If I could change one thing about YouTube, um, well, I don't know. There's probably a few things I would change. I think that I would change how important making thumbnails is. Like for those that don't understand the meta of YouTube, thumbnails are arguably more important than the video itself in terms of how many views the videos get. And to some extent, that's unavoidable because you have to give viewers a way to choose between videos. And you could do it with just titles, I guess. but I don't know, that could get messy. But I still think it's a little bit too heavily weighted in favor of thumbnails and click through rate, to the extent that a lot of good videos don't get the attention that they deserve just because the thumbnail wasn't like, some kind of marketing masterpiece. So that's one thing that I wish was different. On the subject of cultural appropriation, is it just me or do most white rappers seem uncomfortable, almost like they feel the need to explain themselves even if no one asked them to? Um, that might be true. I think that's true of a lot of white people in general. Elden Ring art is top tier to me. I really like the art in Skullgirls, if anyone has played that. It's a really good fighting game. I meant your copyrighted material. Commentary is also copyrighted. Providing your stuff to the public without paying you somehow, that should simply be illegal. Well, yeah, I mean, if I I I get paid for my commentary though. The only way that I wouldn't get paid for it is if I somehow got copyright striked illegally. But like I said, YouTube is pretty good at preventing that from happening. It occasionally happens here and there, but I've mostly avoided it. But I've heard of situations where it happens to other people. But in general, my when you become a YouTuber, you sign a agreement, or when you join the partner program or whatever, when you get monetized, you sign an agreement where YouTube says we'll give you 55% of the ad revenue we make on your videos. What would your answer be for the ship of Theseus philosophy question? What's that? Where if you take a ship, if you take a piece of a ship and make a new ship out of it, is the same ship or something like that? Um, wait, let's see. What is it exactly? Is it like if you take the pieces of a ship, or if you replace pieces of a ship over time, is it the same ship? Sure, it's the same ship. So it's obviously it's a thought experiment and a paradox. So there's no good answer, but I think it's the same ship, because the ship is a concept. The ship is not a thing. It's a concept. It's an idea, and as long as that idea is the same, then it's the same thing. Like I think in every case you would still call it the same ship. In any other context you would say it was the same thing. If I open up my computer and replaced all the components I wouldn't say I bought a new computer. I'd say I upgraded my computer. I upgraded the same computer. Like there are very few things. I feel like maybe atoms are the only like things. Everything else is just an idea, a concept, a way of communicating language to each other, you know? Most things are just made up of other things. So the only way that we can communicate them is through these sort of vague ideas. No question, just love the Good Place video. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. On YouTube, in your book, you mentioned it's better to spoil the video in the title thumbnail. Why do you think this is, considering how spoilerverse people tend to be? Because YouTube is different from movies and TV shows, and I think that's something that people who make YouTube videos should understand. You can get away with things in movies and TV shows that you can't get away with in movies. You know, like if you were watching Star Wars and the title of the movie was Darth Vader is Luke's father, that would suck. No one would like that. I don't think anyone would go watch that. But on YouTube, you have a homepage with like 1,000 different videos to choose from. You know, you have to grab people's attention. You have to tell them the interesting part up front, or else they'll just skip over it. So it's just like a different medium. So there's like different rules, I think. You know, to some extent, and honestly, like the best YouTube videos do still have a twist or something unexpected. So you can tell them a little bit, but then once they actually watch the video, their mind is blown by even more that's going on. So there's still a little bit of an element of being surprised, but you still need to tell them the interesting part. We don't need to, but I think it's a good practice, you know? You know, like for example, I probably many of you watched H Bomber Guy's plagiarism video. I assume so, because it has like 40 million views. And when you first click on that video, you're like, okay, this is a video about plagiarism. He's probably going to give some examples of plagiarism, maybe talk about the ethics of plagiarism, things like that. Interesting idea. Let's watch it. But then you watch the video and you realize this video is a vicious takedown of a single creator who a prolific plagiarizer. And you're watching this video like, I didn't expect this to happen. This is crazy. So even though you kind of knew what the video was already about from the beginning, there was an even bigger twist waiting for you. Funny thing about copyright, I saw a podcast episode of Drake Bell talking about how due to no copyright law in Mexico, Drake and Josh are plastered all over the kids menu in the Mexican restaurant chains. Oh yeah, they do that a lot in other countries. I saw something. Isn't there like I think there's like a Marvel, or I want to say Marvel, maybe it's a different property. It was like a Marvel themed amusement park in China or something, like completely with that Marvel has nothing to do with, but they just made it because I guess no one's gonna do anything about it. Like Bugs in Lives. Yes, Bugs in Lives are also concepts. Next time I take someone on a date, they better not complain about their Happy Meal. Food is a concept, an idea. Pretend that this is steak. I mean, to some extent, you're onto something there. I mean, because food is a concept, and if people are, your perception and appreciation of food definitely affects how it feels to eat it. 100%. People in cellular replacement goes by the same concept. Well, yeah, that's literally true. I was actually gonna bring that up, but I don't know if that was like a little bit too on the nose. But yeah, like human cells are like constantly, you know, remaking themselves and stuff. Isn't it? I can't remember the statistic, but at some point, all of your cells have been replaced by new cells. Isn't that right? So quite literally, we are all ships of Theseus. That makes perfect sense. I think that's way better than clickbaiting. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like genuine clickbait. Um, I don't think it works that much anymore. Insofar as clickbait is just like lying about what's in the video, I feel like that doesn't really work that much anymore. For certain people it does, but overall, I think people are sick of that sort of thing. But you can be a little dishonest, as long as it's like real actually leading into what the video's about. The Roblox oof one is like that too. Yeah, yeah. His last two videos have been just really clever in that way. I wonder if he's gonna continue to do that. That sort of like, hey, here's what you thought the video was about, but this is what the video is actually about. Congrats on being 40. Thank you. Have you found you have any back issues in your 40s compared to when you were younger? My back started misbehaving in my 30s. Uh, oh yeah. I mean, it's not like super bad or anything, but I've had back issues here and there, even in my 30s. But overall, it's fine. I try to stretch and exercise, which I think helps. But I like threw my back out for the first time when I was like 35, and I was like, "What the hell?" Like, I was like, "I've heard of this happening to people. It's real." Do you play any fighting games, T1J? Um, yeah, I love fighting games. I'm not currently playing any fighting games, but I have played many fighting games. I'm a big fan of fighting games. The most recent one I've played is Street Fighter 6, and I play a lot of Street Fighter 6, and I'll probably play it again at some point. I'm a big Street Fighter fan. I love Street Fighter. I love Smash, but I actually was playing a lot of Melee not too long ago, but I haven't played in a while. Um, and I'm waiting for the Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls to come out. I will probably play that. I get it because I'll absolutely close out of a video if the title or thumbnail is drastically different than the content. It's annoying on a level. Absolutely. Um, I mean, yeah, it's not only annoying. It's just like it's literally not what I clicked for. It's the equivalent of like going to a store that has like pictures of burgers on the outside, and you go inside and it's like a taco restaurant. It's like this isn't what you told me it was gonna be. But I think that you can be a little bit baity as long as it's not in a like super dishonest way. Like, for example, well, I recently, well, I'm not trying to think of a good example because I know I've done it a couple of times. like, like for example, one of my most popular videos is my video about Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World, and the way that the title and thumbnail is portrayed, it kind of makes it look like I'm talking about the actor and not the character. I don't say that I'm talking about the actor, but it kind of looks like I might be, which is a little bit clickbaity. But the video got over 1 million views, so that signals to me that once people did click, they weren't mad enough that they left. I've seen a lot of pity marketing as of late, especially on TikTok, where people cry on camera and say, "If you don't subscribe to my Patreon, I'll be homeless." I hate it, but unfortunately, it works. Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of TikTok, so I haven't seen that. But I have seen people do that, and I think that I do. I think that's very cringe. Um, Here's the thing: don't fall for this. I think probably you guys are all kind of like old enough and wise enough to understand this, but here's the thing: being a content creator, being a YouTuber, it is hard. It's hard to make a living, and it's hard to do, and it's hard to figure out. So I don't want to give the illusion that we're all just breaking in the money and it's really easy to do. But here's the thing: we don't have to do this. We've chosen this. Like if I was in danger of literally being homeless, I would go like deliver pizzas or something, I would go do DoorDash. Um I wouldn't beg for Patreon money because if you're in the position where you can get on camera and beg for Patreon money, you're not out of options. So, I find that very cringe. Like I do content creation full time, and I appreciate the support, and I would love it if you guys supported my Patreon and things like that. But never do it because you think that I'm going to starve if you don't. Because it's just not true. And it's not true for anyone. Now, if you want to help someone in that way, then sure. Like the YouTuber who runs the channel Studios recently made a video about how he was having financial issues and his YouTube channel wasn't making him money like he needed it to, and he asked if people would support him on Patreon. But he didn't phrase it like, "Yo, I'm going to starve if you do that. If you don't do this." He phrased it like, "Hey, if you find value in my stuff, it would be I could really use your support these days." And since he had a history of making valuable content, a lot of people supported him. And so in that sense, if you want to support people like that, then that's cool. And if people didn't support, he would have had to go find another way to make money. But yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, I that kind of annoys me as well. Uh, who's your main in Street Fighter Six and Smash Melee? My main in Street Fighter Six is Kimberly, and my main in Melee is Peach. I find myself playing women in fighting games a lot. I think it's because they're usually really stylish and fast, and I like playing fast, sort of stylish, sort of mix up type characters. and women characters are often that. In Street Fighter Five, I played Sakura, but there's exceptions, of course. Like in Tekken 7, I played Miguel. I haven't played Tekken 8 yet, and I didn't really play a lot of Street Fighter 4, but when I did, I played Abel. Are nerds of different cultures more accepting of one another than society in general? I feel like the nerd community need their own flag. Nerds of different cultures more accepting of one another. I don't know. It probably depends. It totally depends on the community. But I think more and more these days, both society and the nerd culture is being more accepting of everybody. But Gamergate was nerds, so nerds aren't accepting of other people by definition. It just kind of depends. Um, how do you feel about YouTube algo changes these days? Feels like way more censorship, especially of POC creators. I don't know. I haven't really noticed censorship myself, but I don't really look that closely. I'd have to see examples. I don't pay that much attention to the algorithm itself because the algorithm is something that I have no input on or ability to change or affect in any way, really. So I just try to think about my audience and like how can I make stuff that my audience likes? And I believe that if I make stuff that my audience likes, then I'll be okay. That's my current belief. We'll see if that holds true. I've always wondered how that works. How detailed are the stats YouTube provides on your views and stuff? I love stats. They give you a lot of stats. Um, by the way, I could talk about YouTube forever. I love talking about YouTube. I wonder if I'm allowed to show you my YouTube stats. But yeah, they give you a lot of analytics and stats. Most of it is not that useful, but it's there. Wait, is T1J is 40? You don't look a day over 50? I feel you. It's not my birthday, by the way. I think the title of this video gave the false impression that it's my birthday. But it's not. I did turn 40 this year, but that was a couple of months ago. I just am 40. I didn't just turn 40. There's some special context to the Innuendo Studios thing. He took the money, claimed he didn't know who he needed to pay, and bought tickets to go see a friend in Japan. Is that true? Yeah, I didn't really see the aftermath. Yeah. I mean, that seems weird because he made it seem like he was basically bankrupt. It would be seems like he would pay some of his debts. I can't beat Kimberly. She's got too many mix up. Oh yeah. I love those sort of rush down mix up set play type characters. That's kind of like my favorite archetype. And yeah, sometimes it does feel a little unfair, but it's fun to win. But I mean, I think it's fine because I mean, Kimberly's like not that good of a character. I think she's pretty good, especially after they buffed her a little bit. But There's definitely better characters in that game. Any other tabletop games? Magic the Gathering. I haven't played Magic the Gathering in a while, but I like the game. I used to play a lot. I haven't really played many collectible card games. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering. As far as TTRPGs, I've played like D&D and Vampire and Call of Cthulhu and some other stuff. Um, I want to get more into board games. I haven't played a lot of board games. I've been recently obsessed with Blood on the Clock Tower, which is a kind of a social deduction game if you've never played. Um, but I haven't really gotten to play. I just like watch other people play. I joined the Discord, but I haven't mustered up the courage to actually like hop in a game yet. But I watch people play all the time. I don't like how YouTube will age restrict videos that use too strong language, forcing people to say things like unalive and mass sleeping. Yeah, I think that's a little overblown though. I think people brought that over from TikTok. I don't think that you need to say unalive on YouTube. I think you did on TikTok. But, since most people post on both platforms, they just use they use the same terminology on both. But I don't think YouTube is that strict. There's definitely certain things on YouTube that will get you instantly flagged, and that might be one of them, but I don't think you need to say unalive. You can say it in a different way. Like I think you can say it's a person killed themselves, and you won't get instantly demonetized. If you like go into like deep discussions of certain things, then sure. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little overblown. I could be wrong though. We'll see. Maybe this stream will get I mean, I don't really monetize these streams, but we'll see if it gets age restricted. I kind of doubt it though. Because I used to make politics videos where I talked about a lot of fairly serious things here and there, and I rarely got demonetized. I mean, way back in the sort of adpocalypse days, I used to get demonetized all the time, but they sort of fixed that problem. And I rarely got demonetized after that. You should probably wait another year for Tekken 8 to be a great game. I love it, but Tekken 7 players don't. Interesting. Yeah, and honestly, I didn't get into Tekken 7 until late in its lifespan, so maybe I should wait. Yeah, I don't. I wonder why they don't like it. I loved Tekken 7. Tekken 7 is probably one of my favorite fighting games ever. What's most surprising about your stats? Most surprising? I don't know if anything's like surprising. Usually it makes sense. Um, certain videos. I mean, sometimes I'm surprised that certain videos do well in certain ways. I guess one thing that I didn't think about that's interesting is like if you put like, you watch a video and there will be the end screen with the another video you can click at the end of the video. In my experience, at least, if a lot of people click on that end screen, that video will get more views, which is something I didn't think about or know was true. But it makes sense because that means that they're increasing their session watch time, which is a thing, if you don't know, that YouTube cares about. They don't only care about the watch time of a video, they care about the watch time of the session. So if a video convinces someone to stay on YouTube longer, that signals to YouTube that the video should be promoted more. Goated metal band? I have no idea. I don't know anything about metal really. I like System of a Down. Is that metal? I hear you about female characters in fighting games that tend to gravitate to rushdown combo heavy characters. I mean, Bayonetta and Ultimate. Yeah, makes sense. Can I count on your vote in the 2028 presidential election? I think I've got a pretty good chance considering how things are going in America these days. Comment by the Dark Lord Sauron. I think you can say it, but if you want that ad revenue, don't you gotta play ball? Yeah, I don't think you get instantly demonetized though, but to some extent you gotta play ball. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I swear in my videos way less than I used to. And part of that is just, I'm trying to get the best ad rate that I can get. And I don't really need to swear that much. Um, I don't think my videos are worse if I swear. So I swear a lot less now. You don't get instantly demonetized for swearing, but there may be certain advertisers that won't pay as much if there's a lot of swearing, or certain advertisers won't advertise at all if you swear, and so it just limits you. It might lower your rates. So I decided to do it less. So yeah, you got to play ball to some extent, but I think a lot of times it's like overblown where people think that they, you know, you can't say the word gun. You got to say pew pew. You can't say took their life or killed themselves. You have to say unalive. Like I really think that's a little overblown. I think it's true on TikTok though. TikTok is very strict about that kind of stuff. I played Blood on the Clock Tower a few times. It's a great game, but I think I'm not suited to it. I was the devil one time, and the stress was just too much for me. Yeah, I mean, yeah. As soon as you play an evil player, I'm sure it gets hard because you actually have to lie, and a lot of people don't like lying to their friends, and you have to lie hard. Um, like you have to fully pretend to be a different person than you are, which is a little hard, a little difficult, but I think you probably get used to it. I haven't really played a lot of Blood on Clock Towers. Obviously, I've watched a lot of it, but I played other social deduction games like Secret Hitler and Werewolf and stuff like that. And it's a similar thing where you just have to lie, and I think you get used to it. Call the T1J stream has been forever. How's it going? What's up, Vanillopen? It's going good. Just hanging. You ever play Soul Calibur? 3 is probably my favorite, but that was a PS2 exclusive, so most people probably haven't played it. I definitely have Soul Calibur 3. I probably have it over in my living room, my stack of PS2 games. I played a lot of Soul Calibur 3. My favorite character in Soul Calibur is Sophitia. I think that's her name, right? Yeah. Uh, what are some words that trigger an ick response in you? An ick response? I don't know. A lot of like political buzzwords kind of give me an ick. Like when people say virtue signaling, that is very cringe to me. System of a Down is definitely metal. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, that's I don't know a lot about metal, but I like System of a Down a lot, but that seems like a pretty normie answer. You should listen to the Necrogoblicon cover of Chop Suey. Cool, yeah, I'm familiar with Necrogoblicon. I never actually listened to the music. System of a Down falls in the category of new metal. I've seen the John Goblikon podcast. I've never listened to the music though because he's had some people that I like on his podcast. Am I gonna play Metal Gear Solid Delta? Is it out? Oh yeah, it came out. Is it on PC? It is on PC. Then yeah, I'll probably play it. Actually, maybe I could play that on stream. I've been looking for some games to play on stream. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is probably my favorite video game of all time. It's role playing and some people have trouble with role playing. I guess it is. I mean, honestly, I think if you think of it as role playing, that probably helps. I think a lot of people don't think of it as role playing, they just think of it as lying. Assuming we're still talking about Blood in the Clock Tower. You ever play 50 Cent Blood on the Sand? I think I have played that actually. I think I have played that. I can't remember if it was good though. Do YouTube stats tell you how long people watch your videos if they click away? Absolutely. Yeah, YouTube stats are wild. I can probably show you something. I don't want to like dox my entire stats, but I can like give you an example maybe. So like my latest video was my The Good Place video. Hold on. How do I do this? Can I like just show this window? Oh, here we go. So this is like it's what's called a can you see that? This is what's called a retention graph. That's what it's called. I don't know, sorry. Yeah, this is for my latest video, which was about The Good Place. And so it shows you the average view duration, which is 8 minutes, which is uh okay for a video that's 24 minutes long. I would like it to be longer, but you know, that's how it goes. And the video's been out for like several weeks now and it goes down over time. It starts off pretty high because that's your like most devoted audience. And it literally shows you like you know, a lot of people leave during the intro. That's just kind of a thing that happens to almost everybody. And it just shows you like the retention as the video goes on. This is actually not one of my stronger videos in terms of retention. Usually it's a more of a straighter line. Um, and there's those little peaks and valleys. When you see those little peaks, those are places where people either like paused the video or watched again, or a lot of people were paying attention during that time. And you see, luckily, outside of the intro, there's no like dips where a whole bunch of people left. So that's good. But you know, it's and down here it says 72% of your viewers were still watching at the 30-second mark, which is typical. So my goal is to work on getting this up. That big dip at the beginning? What I need to work on is making it so less people leave during the intro. And you know, that's just one of the challenges of being a YouTuber. I'm sure that you've all started a video and then like 30 seconds in you're like, "Actually, I don't think I want to watch this." And you know, that's just what happens. And so it's up to me to try to figure out how to come up with a compelling intro. By trigger words, I meant stuff like moist or crevices, things that make you think about stuff that would give you the ick. I don't know. I don't really have anything like that. I know a lot of people don't like certain words like moist, but I don't think I have anything like that. I'm cool with words. I think there are certain words that I don't like just because they sound ugly or they're hard to say, not because they make me think of anything. Like I hate the word rural just because it's hard to say. I'm torn between MGS2 and MGS3 being the best, but yeah, I'm happy to get to play Snake Eater again. That's interesting because I think MGS2 is probably my least favorite of all of the MGSs. I guess if you count like portable ops, that's probably worse. I think for me it's like MGS3, then 1, then 4, then 5, no, 3, 1, and then what's the other one called? Um the other PSP one was really good. I forgot what it's called. Peace Walker. Is that it? Yeah, Peace Walker. Sorry. Okay. 3, 1, 4, Peace Walker, 5, then 2. And then Portable Ops. And anything else, you can throw in. I don't really consider Revengeance as part of that series, but you can maybe throw it in somewhere. And then there's like Metal Gear Acid and like a bunch of other stuff. But yeah. But I like 2. I'm not saying I dislike 2. I just think it's worse than the other ones. It's just kind of a mess of a game. Also, you don't get to be Snake, which sucks. Um, and it's just like by the end of that game, you're kind of like, what the hell just happened? 50 Cent Blood in the Sand was one of the worst games on the PS2. Oh, really? Is the famous 10-minute attention span still a thing? Or is people leaving even earlier? No, I don't think so. Because there are people like I mentioned H Bomber Guy in his popular video. That video is 4 hours long and I think probably most people watched it in full. You just have to capture people's attention. There are plenty of people who make 1 hour, 2 hour plus videos that I think people actually watch. So yeah, I think it's just the challenge as for me as a creator to try to come up with good ideas that people want to watch. What are some TTRPGs you would never play despite your friends constantly asking you to? I don't think there's anything I would never play. I'm open to anything. I've always been puzzled by this as I basically never partially watch videos. If I'm there for a minute, I'm there for the credits. That's cool. I really think you're in the minority though. Sometimes you just start watching a video and you realize, A, I've gotten all the value that I'm gonna get out of this, so I'm gonna stop. Or you start watching and you're like, actually, this doesn't seem as interesting as I thought it was gonna be. How do you think thumbnails play into retention? I think they are very important because I think closer, the more that your thumbnail entices people to be interested in the video, and the more that your video matches the promise that is set by your thumbnail, the more retention that you have, especially in the intro. So I think it's pretty important. If you do a big song and dance routine like Peacemaker season 1 intro, no one will tune out. Yeah, I mean, I'd need to come up with some interesting ways to keep people interested during the intro for sure. Is this also taking into account all the video started playing as I hovered around trying to pick something? Sometimes I hover over a video and then realize I don't have time. Yeah, I don't think that counts in terms of the actual retention. I think the retention of the video only starts ticking once it's clicked on. I could be wrong about that. Wouldn't that be an argument against clickbaity thumbnails? Yeah, I mean, it depends. I'm not sure what you think of when you say clickbaity, but I don't think that clickbait is good, and I don't think it works. I think maybe it worked like 15 years ago, but I don't really think it works that much anymore. But what you're saying, clickbaity, might not be what I'm thinking. Um, but if your thumbnail is misleading, I don't think that works. I think people get pissed off and leave when that happens. I totally have left a video in the intro. I can say most of the time it's not due to lack of interest. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a totally normal behavior. I don't think anyone needs to apologize for it. I do it all the time. You know, it's up to me and other creators to make interesting videos. If they're not that interesting or not what people are looking for, then they're going to leave. That's fine. Revengeance and Portable Ops are considered non-canon. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. At least, I mean, Portable Ops is pretty well. Actually, I don't know. Portable Ops could be canon, but maybe not. But Portable Ops is like a super boring game. It's terrible. Revengeance, I guess I guess that could be canon, but I don't know. Vanna Loven, thank you for the $49.99. Holy moly! Appreciate it. First started watching back post 2016. Not a big YouTube consumer since then, but I hope you're continuing to do you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Old school fan. You've been through a couple of eras of this channel. Why men earn more money than women? I mean, that's a deep question. I think entire like books have been written on the subject. It's a nuanced thing. Some of it is sexism. Some of it is because men are willing to do harder jobs and take less time off. Some of it is because women are usually the caretakers of the house. Some of it is because women are socialized to be more passive and thus don't get leadership roles and don't ask for raises. There's a lot of things, a lot of factors. Some of it is because female-oriented jobs are considered less valuable to society and get paid less. So yeah, there's a lot of things. I've been thinking a lot about your Tom Hanks on SNL vid a lot lately with modern political climate. Anything about it you'd change? Um, is there anything about it you'd change? I mean, I not really. I'd be interested to hear what you've been thinking about regarding it. It's interesting because I think a lot of people are coming around to understand that aspect of intersectionality. What speed was your first internet connection? IRC, mine was a 4K. I think I had the typical 56K or whatever it was. I think that's when I was a late bloomer to the internet. My family didn't get it until late. I think I got my first internet connection in like two, 2002 or something. Like I was a I was a pretty late bloomer to the internet. Probably 2002 is probably a little late. Honestly, yeah, I probably didn't get the internet until like 2000 and 2001 or something like that. Like we had the internet at school, I remember, but I didn't have it at home for a while. First saw your video on why nice guys aren't really nice. Do you ever go back to your old videos? I mean, not frequently, but every now and then I do. Some of them, in fact, most of them are a bit cringe to watch for various reasons. But every now and then, there's a couple of them that I think hold up. But yeah, that video is kind of the video that put me on the map. Do you think it's possible with the renewed interest in Metal Gear, we'll get a prequel game focused on the boss's service in World War II? I don't trust Konami with the main timeline, but I think they could make a competent prequel without Kojima's involvement. Um, maybe. I just there's just no telling what that's gonna be like if Kojima's not making it. But it's possible. I mean, it's very possible. I don't know if we'd get that particular story. I feel like if they made a Metal Gear Solid game, they'd probably want to put Snake in it. But that would be interesting. I would love that. Who is better, Domino's or Pizza Hut? Domino's 100%. Pizza Hut is kind of trash. At least the Pizza Hut around here is. I don't like it at all. Mainly because more average people are having a more rounded understanding of intersectionality, like how Tom Hanks in the SNL skit has more common with black people because he's poor. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I feel like people understood that at the time too, though. That was like why. That's why it That's why that sketch was so popular. But I don't know. I guess people. I think there's more people are talking about it in a little more nuanced way than they were back then. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why that sketch was so popular is because people kind of felt that sort of intersection between poverty and race. That like that was kind of the point of it. I don't really remember everything I said in the video though, but I think that was kind of the gist of it. I mean, that's why those Black Jeopardy sketches are so good. Like they acknowledge sort of the unique qualities of racial sort of community, but they also bring in uh the class aspect of it. You ever wish Microsoft would bring back those cool 3D screensavers? I'm pretty sure you can still put a screensaver on your computer if you want to. I practically grew up with a PC, used to play games side by side with my dad because our desks were set up right next to each other in our old house. We had a computer, we just didn't have the internet. I used to play old floppy disk games. Um I used to play solitaire all the time, the classic. But yeah, we definitely had a computer. I mean, I had a computer since definitely since I was like a small child, but I didn't get the actual internet until like high school. Pizza Hut is delicious. When I traveled, I went to Pizza Hut and it was like, holy shit, Pizza Hut can be good. I don't know if Pizza Hut's the quality varies from region to region, but the Pizza Hut in my town is bad. Papa John's. I think of like the main fast food sort of pizza chains. Domino's is probably my favorite one. I appreciate Little Caesar just because it's cheap, but it's definitely not the best. I've been thinking about how much the atheist era of videos mocking religious people evolved into a snarky criticism on both sides of the spectrum. Does that ring true at all besides me? Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. 100%. A lot of people sort of evolved that sort of atheist criticism and it evolved into political criticism. And and a lot of it just has to do with algorithms and how the internet sort of rewards drama and rewards conflict, and so that encourages people to make content that is dramatic and controversial and uh that attacks people and things like that. So yeah, it just encourages a lot of people to do that. I think all chain pizza is bad. I mean, that's fair. uh I like Domino's. I think it's fine. I'm DJing a beach party Sunday. Any bangers to add? um I mean, I'm not the best music person. You should add Bad Girls by MIA. That song goes hard. Memories of playing Microsoft Paint on Windows ME, making those same abstract artworks every kid made. Oh, yeah. Many hours spent on Microsoft Paint. I think my first operating system was Windows 3.1, which came out in 1992. So at some point in the like mid 90s, I think is when I got my computer. And I eventually got Windows ME, and I eventually got Windows XP. I have fond memories of XP. I think that's like when I really became a always online kind of person, is with Windows XP. Do I play any gotcha games? I do not. That seems like whenever I hear people talk about gotcha games, it doesn't sound like a good thing to do. As a millennial anime viewer, do you say otaku or weeaboo? I would not consider myself an anime viewer, but and I don't really say either of those words that much. By the way, what's up? Thanks for the kind words. Been a fan for a long time. Canada just got Canadian branch of Little Caesars called Pizza. Pizza? No, I still will not eat there. If you were trapped on a desert island with only 3 albums to listen to, what would they be? Nirvana, Nevermind, the Fugees, The Score, and maybe Daft Punk Discovery. The third one is kind of a toss up. Could be Jay-Z Black Album. Could be Deltron 3030. One of those. Paper Planes by MI is a showstopper. Yeah, that's sort of the classic sort of probably a club type song. I don't think it's anywhere near MIA's best song though. MIA is super good. That's like one of my favorite artists. She's amazing. But yeah, Paper Planes. I think I've just heard Paper Planes too many times. That song was played so much. But it's great. It's a good song. Don't get me wrong. It's a good song. I never seen a fast food place go downhill as much as Burger King. Went from one of the best to one of the worst. Yeah, I don't eat a lot of fast food these days. I mean, I guess we order pizza here and there, but I don't eat like at burger places that much anymore. I can't even remember the last time I had Burger King. The only fast food that I will get is like Captain D's because I fucking love Captain D's. Is the stream messing up? I'm getting an error. What is the worst game you have ever played? I don't, it's hard to pick the worst of something. Because sometimes you play a game that's like not finished, or you play a game that you don't like, but it's at least it's still a game. It's not just play games that are bad, but is it the worst? I'm trying to play well, I can't I don't know, I can't even remember the last time I played a game that was like bad. Like the quality of games is like crazy these days. I can just remember like old NES games that were bad. Like, oh, you know what the really bad game is? Superman on the Nintendo 64. That's probably the worst game I've ever played. That's one of the worst games that has ever existed for sure. That's the worst game that I can think of right now is Superman 64. Nevermind by Nirvana, no hate, but that's the most vanilla answer I've ever heard to that question. I mean, that's fair. It's also in my top 3 favorite albums ever. I don't know what to tell you. It's good. There's no skips. Every song is a banger. But I don't really consider myself to be like a music connoisseur. I don't really seek out a lot of music, and I don't really And just in general with media, I don't I'm not really a snob. I'm really easy to please, and I just like what I like. So, but I don't know how someone can hate on Nevermind because all the songs are good and it's a banger. So it's popular. Is it just vanilla because it's popular? Yeah, I think most games are at least decent today. And yeah, unless they just like straight up are not finished, which seems to happen a lot. There's also a lot of really shitty mobile games, but that kind of opens up a whole can of worms. The mobile game industry is it's something else, man. It's a mess. I would say 90% of mobile games are basically just a way for you to transfer money to the developer with some kind of graphical interface. It's just like a way of it's like a fancy it's just like you transferring money to the developer with extra steps. That's kind of like all mobile games are. There's like a hair on my microphone. Have you ever played any builder creation style games like Roller Coaster Tycoon or The Sims? Um, I've played a lot of The Sims. I haven't played recently, but I've played The Sims a lot over my life. Um, throughout my life. I also am a fan of Sim City. Um, I have City Skylines, but I've only played like maybe like 30 minutes of it. But I do like that style of game, but I guess I never really got super deep into them. What's up, Rose? How's my night going so far? It's going well. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stream, but I'm still here. Nirvana's Nevermind is one of my favorite albums, but I can go about never hearing that album again. Working in a place with the radio on, you hear the album within a week on any rock station. That's fair. Yeah, I can see that. I don't really listen to music all that much, so it's always a special occasion when I hear stuff. So there's certain songs that just played. Like I love Nevermind as an album, but if I never heard "Smells Like Teen Spirit" again, that'd probably be fine because I've heard that song way too many times. But the thing is, whenever I do hear it, I'm not that mad. But if I never heard it again, I wouldn't be too upset. But for the rest of the album, it's always pleasant because I don't listen to it that much. Also, I just love Nirvana. Like, you know, sometimes when you just love a band, you're okay with listening to their stuff a lot. I would say Nirvana is probably my favorite band, and a lot of it's just because it's the era that I grew up in. I like that sort of grunge type of music. I have played The Sims 4. I haven't played. I played like the base game. I know there's a whole bunch of like extra content and stuff, but yeah, I've played Sims 4. Is that banner behind you Alabama State? Not Alabama State, just Alabama. We got our first game tomorrow. To the point that there are commercials now that straight up say this game is the actual game that other ad lied about. And you know, there are ads like that and the ads lie. The ads are still lying when they say that. That's what's funny. We're playing League if you feel frisky after. I don't know. I don't even think I have League on my computer still. I keep like, although I want to try out the WASD. They added WSD controls in League, which is interesting. That might be interesting for me because I'm used to playing like WoW and stuff. Thanks for the chat and your work, T1J. Been watching since 2014. Got to run. I and many other people would describe Nevermind as formative. Well, yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Ian. I probably won't. I probably will only stream for another 15 to 30 minutes myself, y'all. So. Love your TV analysis vids. You ever watch Freakazoid? Yeah, I used to love Freakazoid, actually. I should watch it again. Maybe I could get a video out of it. Freakazoid was actually like one of my favorite shows. There are a lot of good tracks on Nevermind that just got overshadowed by Smells Like Teen Spirit. I mean, and, you know, objectively, I think Smells Like Teen Spirit is an amazing song. It's just, you know, just was so popular they got played over and over, and you heard it in the mall every day, and you heard it on MTV every day, and you heard it in like, you know, all kinds of different stuff. So it got a little overplayed, but I think it's still an amazing song. But there are a lot of great songs. Probably my favorite song is In Bloom, which I think is another song that is played a lot, but that song goes hard. It is an earworm 100%. But like I said, I think there are no skips on that album. I think every song is good. I think every song is like at least like an 8 out of 10, if not a 9 or 10 out of 10. I've heard every single song Nirvana ever produced. I think I have too. And even the stuff from compilations and the Unplugged album, but I don't think I'd want to be stuck listening to them forever. And yeah, and that's because Nirvana is probably not your favorite band, but it is my favorite band. I'm going to play The Sims very shortly after these dishes are done. I want to get into a game like that like a sim game or some kind of like building type of game. But I don't know, I have to figure out something that I can like sort of get lost in. It's hard for a game to keep my attention. That's the problem. Like I'll play a game for like an hour and be like, actually, I don't want to play this anymore. So I want to find something that I really get obsessed with. Say you're writing for a futuristic sci-fi TV show, and you can include one song from the '90s on the soundtrack. I don't understand the relevance of it being a futuristic sci-fi TV show. I'm not sure if I understand. Are you asking what song from the '90s is the most futuristic sci-fi? I don't know if you answered this in the past, but do you have any pets? If no, do you want any? General pet opinions and stuff. I do not have any pets. I don't really want any pets. I've been thinking I've been lightly, very lightly considering looking into getting a something like a turtle or a like a bearded dragon or something in that realm. I don't think I want any mammals. Dogs are cool, I guess, but they're more work and money than I care to be responsible for right now. Uh, and I'll probably lose half the room here, but I do not like cats at all. If I could have any pet that I wanted, I would get a sloth, but I don't think you're allowed to have those as pets. And again, that would probably be too much work. Glad I caught the stream. I like your videos on sitcoms and on bangers like Daria. I appreciate that. Lounge Jack is always stuck in my brain. Great song. Some days all I do is build and buy in The Sims. Oh, for sure. Getting to the 80s and 90s grunge slash alt rock as it was happening, watching old reruns of MTV 120 minutes on YouTube is the way to go. MTV, for its faults, when they did play music, the format was great. Yeah, I mean, MTV, I think, was formative. I think if you're of millennial or Gen X age, MTV was like formative in your life. OpenRC2, Stormworks, Kerbal Space Program. Yeah, I have to try them out. Like I said, it's hard for me to keep interest in things. It's set in the far future where you wouldn't expect people to be listening to music from the 90s. I still don't understand like how I'm supposed to judge. Are you just asking my favorite 90s song or do you want me to pick something that fits this theme? 'Cause I don't really understand. I mean, I might just end up saying another Nirvana song. Currently playing Jurassic World Evolution 2. 3 is getting ready to come out. It's a fun little builder. I've never heard of that. I know that was a thing. What about a tortoise? Maybe. Aren't tortoises like really big? Rats are great pets too. I've thought of a rat actually. Have you ever played Earth Defense Force? I have not. I wouldn't want any pet where you have to neuter them to be responsible or they die before I die. Yeah. It seems like that's probably most, especially mammals. That's probably true of all mammals, right? All mammalian pets. Base T1J cats are awful. I'm glad someone agrees. Well, I'm glad someone agrees with me. Usually I get booed out of the room when I say that. People love cats, man. Cats are like an abusive partner. Like it is. It's like you know how like when you watch someone in a abusive or toxic relationship and you watch them defend the toxicity of their partner. That's how cat owners are. It's like I'm sitting here watching your cat be an asshole, yet you love that thing unconditionally. I'm also allergic to some cats too, which doesn't help. TRL and MTV was the best. I don't know when MTV decided to stop being music television and focus on teen dramas and other nonsense, but it was a terrible decision. Yep. I mean, at this point, it was at least 20 years ago. Are millennials kind of an in between generation, in your opinion? I'm 94 and I feel older than Gen Z, but still in that grew up in the internet obsessed era in my late teens. I don't know if I don't think it's an in between generation. I think it's just another generation. Um, I think that what's unique about millennials. I mean, the I think millennials' experience with the internet is one of the most unique things about it. Um, like we came of age in the like when the internet came of age, basically, or when the internet and social media became a thing. That's when millennials were growing up, and that only applies to millennials. Um, so millennials were alive before the internet blew up and definitely before social media was a thing, but they also grew up with it. And I think that no other you can't really say that about any other generation, which is unique. Cats are misunderstood, but legit people don't take the time to be patient and observe their animals to understand them. Yep, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's that it's like you're watching someone be an asshole and someone's like, "Oh, he's just misunderstood." That's another thing all cat owners they say my cat's not like that, but then when you actually observe their cat, it's like, "Ah, your cat is like that." You just you just love it so much that you don't care, which is fine. You're allowed to love your cat. That's cool. I will admit I have met one or two chill cats. It's not 100%, but it's like 80 to 90% of them are pretty shitty. Um, they yeah, they fuck up your stuff. They knock your stuff over. They scratch you. They are affectionate when they want to be, and other times they're just randomly mean to you for no reason. They're moody. Yeah, cats are the worst. And sure, you can learn to live with that, but it don't. say that they don't do that because they do. I've seen it. Uh, Casey, thank you for the $2. And probably cats can be taught to be better, but it doesn't seem like most cat owners bothered to do that. And maybe it's just my experience. I've met, you know, dozens, if not hundreds, of cats in my lifetime, and maybe I've just been very unlucky and just met all the shitty ones. People claim that the internet killed MTV, but the reality is MTV stopped playing music videos way before watching videos or even just playing music online was easy and accessible. Oh, absolutely. The idea that MTV stopped playing music videos like in the early to mid 2000s, or at least de-emphasized it. They stopped emphasizing it. Probably like mid 2000s to early 2010s, I would say. I think they were still mostly about music videos when I was in high school. So I would say like after like 2005 maybe, between 2008 8 or something like that. Hey bro, my only question is how are you? I hope all is well. Also, what do you think of Ultimate? What do you mean by Ultimate? Do you mean Ultimate Frisbee or do you mean Smash Ultimate? You would love Earth Defense Force? It's like if someone took Godzilla, Starship Troopers, and a bunch of cheesy sci-fi B movies, mixed them together in a bowl, and blew that bowl up with a missile. Interesting. Yeah, I would just have to check it out. I literally don't know anything about it. If you're allergic to cats, and you probably are to rats too. The thing is, I'm not allergic to all cats. Only some of them. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I haven't had cable in 20 years. What's it like now? Don't ask me. I don't pay for TV. Yeah, I have no idea what people watch on TV. Do people still watch TV? Every generation is somewhat liminal. The millennial be home by dark plus dial up plus present adulthood is interesting. Yeah, I was just talking about I was talking to some Gen X people recently. You know the whole thing about Gen X is how like they were basically left to their own devices and they had all these like adventures and shit. Like I've had so many people who are older, they say like if you just watch Stranger Things, that's exactly how my childhood was. You know, without all the like literal monsters, but um that's basically how it was. You just riding your bike around and going in the woods and shit. And no one was looking after you. And I certainly didn't have that. I mean, we kind of had adventures, but my mom also would, whoop my ass if I wasn't home before the street lights came on, you know? Do you feel old or is that just a catchy title? I wouldn't say that I feel old. In some ways I do. But I just think in terms of numbers, I'm getting old. But I don't think I feel old. I feel like the same guy as I was when I was 30. And there are like physical things here and there, you know, metabolism slower, uh probably more at risk of injury, but overall I don't feel that old. Oh, Spade. What up? Smash Ultimate? I like Smash Ultimate. I haven't played it in a while because the online is bad, but I like it a lot actually. I think it's I mean, I was gonna say I think it's the best Smash Bros. Game, but I guess Melee's the best. Um, but it's definitely the best modern game. I hated Smash 4, but Smash Ultimate was great. I just wish it had non. I wish it had better online. But yeah, let me stop talking shit about cats before I lose all my subscribers. I don't really like dogs, but they kind of scare me. I was attacked by one when I was a kid. Got a scar on my face. Yeah, see, the thing with dogs is I feel like dogs definitely can be shitty, but ultimately dogs just want the approval of the humans in their lives, and if you kind of figure that out, then you can then they're cool. But I've definitely met shitty dogs, but it's not like 80% like with cats. It's just kind of it seems like it's very hit or miss with dogs. And dogs also like seem to be a lot more trainable, but again, a lot of pet owners either don't know how or don't want to train their dogs. What's your favorite video game series? I've been playing Sonic games for like 15 years. My favorite video game series is a tie between Metal Gear Solid and Zelda. I was dating a girl in high school who I really liked until I went in her room for the first time. She wanted to make out with me, but all I could think about was how disgusting it smelled because she kept her cat's litter box in there, and I broke up with her shortly after that experience. Damn. Litter box in the bedroom? Is that what you said? That's a bit much. But I guess you'd probably get used to the smell if you just lived there every day. At 40, I feel like I'm finally catching up. Is there a TV show that you would say closely relates to your childhood? I know I've been asked this before. Any TV show for me would probably be sitcoms because that's what I grew up watching. The problem is I grew up in a poor black neighborhood, and I the only like shows about poor black people are like Good Times, and that's not really how my life was like. Um, so I think probably like a mixture of like Roseanne and Family Matters was pretty close. Like I Roseanne, I feel like is very relatable because they were like this sort of struggling working class family, and they kind of lived in this tight knit community, and that I kind of relate with that a little bit. Of course, it's a little bit different because grew up in a black neighborhood. But then you have like Family Matters, which is about this black middle class family, which is pretty cool. And it was also like a large family, which I also relate to. Like I have a very large family, so something like that maybe. I'm from Alabama. Shout outs to Alabama. My siblings were raised much more closely to Gen X than other millennials I have found. That place has a 50-year delay. I mean, I'm also from Alabama, but I mean, it's possible. I don't really have too much of a frame of reference. I also hated Smash 4. Good Smash takes overall, man. Online always trash as expected from Nintendo. Yeah, if the online was good, I'd probably still be playing Smash Ultimate. I actually was playing a little bit of Melee on Slippy recently. I mean, that game's old and stupid, but it's fun. I kind of miss Brawl. I mean, Brawl was good too, but another game that's pretty stupid, but fun. I was scared of dogs for ages for the same reason. Attacked as a child. Yeah, I mean, I got chased and attacked by dogs all the time when I was a kid. That's something about black neighborhoods. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if they still do this. I hope people still don't do this, but uh, in sort of in the hood, people would like train their dogs to be guard dogs, or they would intentionally buy or intentionally get like mean, aggressive dogs like chows and Rottweilers and stuff like that. Um, and then a lot of times the dogs were like neglected or they just get chained up in the backyard or something, and so they would become anxious and aggressive. So like almost all the dogs in the hood were just scary and would like chase you or bite you. It sucked. I'm hoping that it's still not like that, but that's how it was when I grew up. Are you a fan of Afrofuturism? Um, I find it interesting as a genre. I don't. I guess I haven't looked too deep into it. I don't know that many examples of it, but I find it interesting for sure. Yes, in her bedroom. That's wild to me. To alleviate the cat hate, I'll take a moment to hate on dogs. Why are you trying to lick my face with the same tongue that just licked you know where? I think that's a fair complaint, but it is a show of affection or familiarity. Is he suggesting that Fresh Prince isn't an accurate portrayal of the average poor black experience? That's the thing about black shows in the '90s, actually, because I think Good Times was a great show, but I think black people just got tired, and not even just black people, but black people and allies of black people were kind of tired of black people only being portrayed as poor or as servants or that sort of thing. And so almost every black show in the 90s was about either rich black people or black people who were like upwardly mobile, like black entrepreneurs and stuff. Like almost every black show was like that in the 90s. And it kind of makes sense cuz people they wanted more sort of positive and inspirational depictions of black people on TV. Did you go to Blockbuster a lot growing up? We went a lot when we were kids. I didn't really go that much as a teen or early adulthood, but my dad really liked to rent movies a lot. So whenever we hung out, we'd go to Blockbuster. Fresh Prince is kind of neat because you see how class race intersect, and that even though Uncle Phil and his family are wealthier than Will's, they still face discrimination based on race. Yeah, I mean that show had a lot of really good commentary. What's the worst sitcom I've reviewed on my channel? I don't know if I would say any of them are the worst because usually the ones that I've reviewed are the ones that I like. I don't think I've reviewed any that I don't like. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I've reviewed one that's not great. So I don't know how to answer that. Usually what makes me want to make a video about a show is the show being really good. Um I'm gonna probably end the stream in about 15 minutes though. Just letting giving you a heads up. I'll look at a few more comments though. I want all my futuristic sci-fi to be so far in the optimistic future that race is just a flavor thing that doesn't meaningfully impact people's lives. Yeah, I think that's interesting when that happens. Sometimes people don't like that though because it kind of some people think that they're trying to imply that racism doesn't exist. And I'm very pessimistic about racism actually never existing. I think it will probably always exist. I hope not, but that is my fear. But you see that sometimes in media, like speaking of sitcoms, one of my top two favorite shows of all time is Parks and Recreation, which isn't a future show. I mean, the last season takes place in that timeline's future, but that show almost never confronts race. I don't think there's any racism shown on that show. Even though there are a lot of like shitty, bigoted people, I don't think they've ever depicted racism. They've kind of um, joked about racism against natives. I think that's the only time. But some people criticize the show for that by saying they live in this sort of like post-racist world. But it is an interesting sort of optimistic show in that way. Note on sitcoms, I feel like the mom in Everybody Hates Chris is designed to make people hate black women. I really doubt that she's designed to make people hate black women. If that is a result, that's unfortunate because that would never happen with a white character that kind of sucks. But yeah, sometimes characters are flawed and that's cool. It's fine for a character to suck, because some people suck. So obviously some fictional characters should be flawed and have issues and problems. Um and there's no reason that black people should be excluded from that. I think that's a I mean not saying that you're saying this, but that's something that some people get confused is they think that when we say we want like accurate representation, that means we want all black people on in media to be virtuous and saintly. It's like no, there's got to be black villains, there's got to be flawed black people, there's got to be shitty black people and mean black people. We just want the full gamut. We just don't want it all to be the same thing. But I don't know. I don't I feel I'm uncomfortable with the idea of this makes people hate black women because if it was a white character, no one would ever say this character was designed to make people hate white women. It's like no, it's just a person who is a certain way that just happens to be black or white or whatever. And I think she's yeah, it's a great role. I mean that's a great show. I think everybody plays their roles really good. Any shows you got annoyed were canceled? Um, My Name is Earl. That I'm really sad that that show never got to finish. The Bernie Mac show. Really sad that show never got to finish. Although it probably wouldn't have got finished because Bernie Mac passed away. But I would have loved that show to get a proper ending. So those two examples come to mind immediately. Ray, thank you for the $2 Canadian. Sending love. Hope you're having a good night. Thank you so much. I'll let you know, man. Thank you for the 5. Hey, T1J, rank your top 3 chicken fingers from chains. Top 3 chicken fingers. I don't know. My favorite chicken fingers are from Jim and Nick's, which is a southern chain, which I don't think they have it outside of the South. In fact, it may only be in Alabama, but they have the best chicken fingers. Outside of that, I don't know. Um, Parks and Rec is one of my favorite. Yeah, I love that show so much. My main problem with her was that just that people around her didn't really acknowledge her flaws as her being abnormal. That's my real issue. I don't at all oppose flawed. Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that you did, but it just made me think of something that I sometimes gets brought up. I think the thing with that is that's kind of true to life for a lot of black people. A lot of black people grew up with very mean, strict mothers, and so it does feel normal. I think a lot of black women in certain communities were sort of socialized that that's how you raise children, especially boys, is you have to be very strict and like an authoritarian disciplinarian type of character. So I don't think it was designed for people to hate black women. I think it was designed to in a semi exaggerated way just share something that was true to life for a lot of black people. Peggy Hill's a character that you love to hate. Oh yeah, I kind of want to do a video about Peggy, but that I need to rewatch the show before I do that. You aren't wrong that it feels normal. I know this too well personally, but I hate it. I want it so much to not be normal. I feel like it's low key a huge detriment to us in general. Yeah, I mean, I would hope that it's changing, these days. I don't really know though. I mean, I have a few friends that are black mothers and they don't seem to be that way, but I don't know. I don't really know the full trends. But I've been seeing a lot of posts about people sort of breaking the generational curse of that sort of toxic style of parenting. So I hope that that's carried over into the black community. Electro Man, thank you for the 5. Would you ever be a streamer like Kai Cenat or iShow Speed? Do you watch any streamers? Why do you think Kai and Speed became popular? Would I be a streamer like Kai Cenat? Or, I mean, I'm streaming right now. Does that make me a streamer? Um, would I stream daily for eight plus hours a day like they do? Absolutely not. That sounds exhausting. But you know, they're young men. They have the energy for stuff like that. Um, do I watch any streamers? Not really. I don't really watch streams unless it's like extremely relevant to something I care about. But I will watch like VODs of streams sometimes. Um, and there's certain ones like I've watched some of Kai Cenat's VODs here and there. Um, but yeah, mostly I don't really watch streams. Um, unless it's like a YouTuber that has reappropriated their stream into like a long form video. You know, like I'm into chess, so I'll watch like Hikaru's streams or Gotham chess streams, stuff like that, or like D&D streams. But I rarely actually sit and watch something while it's live. Why do I think they're popular? I mean, I don't really know. That's one thing. Like, I think I have a decent idea of how YouTube videos and how YouTubers become popular. I have no idea how streaming works and how streamers become popular. I think, you know, they're entertaining and they're cool. I think people like them and want to, they like the idea, the sort of parasocial idea of, I would love to be friends with these guys. I want these guys' approval because they, you know, they're young and cool guys. Um, and you know they have a lot of energy. They're funny. So yeah, that's probably part of it. Outside of that, I don't know. Mean strict mothers read traumatized mothers. No doubt. I mean, they everything we do is just based on how we grew up, and that goes for our parents as well. I don't think it's an excuse. It's just it is what it is. You know, giving uh it's just giving context to the situation. Wonder Woman is at the front door and Batgirl is at the back door. Which do you answer? Definitely Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is way cooler and hotter than Batgirl. Have you watched any of the new King of the Hill yet? I have not. I honestly would like to watch the original series before doing the new series, but there's so much to watch. So maybe I should just watch the new series. Yeah, but Batgirl's dad is Commissioner Gordon, so when he retires Commissioner T1J, is that how it works? I get it somehow. I wouldn't want to be the police commissioner though. Too stressful, especially in that world, because A, you're the commissioner of one of the most crime-ridden cities of all time, and B, you got this fucking bat dude swinging around, undermining your authority every day. I know that like they're usually friends in most universes, but it's got to be hard to to work for the police in Gotham City with Batman everywhere. You're like collecting, you know, hoodlums with broken bones off the streets every day. Which door would you answer if one of them was coming to fight you? Well, I mean that's obvious, right? Batgirl doesn't have superpowers. Wonder Woman is. I mean, Wonder Woman would punch your head off in one punch. Just look at the whip, then the invisible jet too. Do you think do you think the description nerd is more celebrated or accepted, and why? I don't even know if people even use the word nerd unironically anymore. Um, I think I think anyone who like I don't think the word nerd is used to disparage people anymore. So either people use it ironically or in a celebratory way. I don't think there literally anyone gets made fun of for being a nerd. And correct me if I'm wrong. It's just not a thing anymore because nerd culture is everywhere. Like even me calling myself a nerd, it's a little bit tongue in cheek. I mean, I'm definitely a nerd in, by the standards of what's typically considered nerdy in certain ways. I like D&D and superheroes and like science and shit. But you know, there's other ways in which I don't really fall into that category. I like sports. I like, or at least in my heyday, I like to like go out to the bar and flirt with girls. Like those aren't usually things that are associated with nerds. So it just kind of it doesn't really mean anything. But I use it a little bit ironically, a little bit tongue in cheek. Did I miss a new? I actually haven't seen the new Superman yet. I'm a little behind on my superhero movies. I still have to watch Superman and Fantastic Four. I'm not even sure if they're still in theaters. They might still be, but I might just rent it on my computer. I read Batgirl as Catwoman because I'm tired and almost threw virtual hands. That would be a harder choice. I think I would still pick Wonder Woman though. But uh I stand Catwoman. And in some ways it depends on which version you're talking about. Cuz these characters are written in different ways and sometimes one way is a lot cooler than another way. Like if it's like Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, I mean that's hard to beat. I feel like Gal Gadot, you know, regardless of what you want to say about her as a person, that is a beautiful woman. Like I feel like somebody drew her. But then there's other versions. Like if it's like Injustice Wonder Woman, it's like that lady sucks. She's basically like I don't know. I don't know if you know the Injustice story, but in the Injustice story, Wonder Woman is super obnoxious. So it just depends. Do I still play in D and D? I do. I love D&D. Does anyone keep up with superhero movies anymore? I do. I'm a little bit behind at the moment, but I watch every Marvel project because I'm a fanboy. In fact, I think Marvel might be on the up and up here. I've heard Fantastic Four is good. I haven't seen it yet. Um, Thunderbolts was really good. Agatha All Along was really good. Ironheart I liked. I apparently it didn't get super good reviews, but I liked it. So I've been liking what Marvel's been doing lately, personally. Which character would you like to see more of in the MCU? Give me more Yelena, please. That's definitely the best sort of Phase 4 and beyond character that they've added. What's up, T1J? Here to say you're goated. Thanks. Thanks for stopping by. I do think I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream though. Because I'm getting a little hungry. And I've got some other stuff to do today. But thanks everyone for hanging out. Cool discussion as always. At some point I'm going to set up a gaming stream. I was going to do it on Saturdays, but I don't think I can do it on Saturdays. So at some point during the week, I might just randomly start streaming some game. I was thinking about streaming Disco Elysium because a lot of people have suggested that to me, but I also want to play Metal Gear Delta, so I might do that. I'll have to decide. I don't really know exactly what type of games, but I think probably just for now, just like single player sort of story based games that people can sort of interact with and understand what's going on. I don't imagine that, you know, a whole bunch of people are going to sit and watch the games, but I think some people might be interested. And it's just a way for me to just try out some games that I would never have get to play. Cyberpunk on my radar, like the video game. I could maybe play that. But yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know. I got lost in thought there. But yeah, look out. I literally have a video coming out. The video is done and it's uploaded, but I'm dealing with copyright stuff. I don't know if people were here earlier. We were talking a little bit about how copyright works on YouTube. Hopefully that all gets settled and the new video will come out soon. It's another video about sitcoms because that's what I do on this channel. But I won't spoil it, but just be on the lookout for that. Anyway, thanks for stopping, and as always, be kind to each other. Please be kind to your friends and your family and your neighbor, and you know, do something kind for someone. I think there's a little bit too much sadness and anger in the world today, so I encourage you to just try to be kind. I think we could all use it. Anyway, that's about it. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.